Hello. Today I'm going to talk about a few incidents from that I remember from my age 5. The biggest event was that when I turned 5, um, I did not realize until then that the home that we were staying in, Fatima Manzil, it was actually, we had taken that for rent. It was not our own. So the news that I received was this. The way I found out was my my dad started planning a huge housewarming party, and they told me that oh, now this is our own house, um, and I did not understand the concept of a own house and a rented house until then. And I kept asking, like, what do you mean we own the house? Isn't it our own house, anyways? So that's the first time I learned that people either own their homes or somebody else owns them and you rent it from them. So know that back then, 45 years ago, India was a very, very, very poor country. They called themselves a developing nation at that point in time, but it was not even a developing nation. It was basically a third world country. So I did not know that it was a big deal to own your own home. And if you take out the very wealthy, like, and I'm talking, when I say very wealthy, I'm talking about, uh, like, I'm not talking about movie stars or industrialists. I'm talking, like, if you take those out, that's not in the equation. Regular people who did jobs or who own their own small businesses. I did not realize that 95% of the people in my world did not own a home. It was a big deal to own a home, actually. So we bought that home for 36,000 rupees is the number I remember. And somehow I remember the number 42,000 also. I think with registration and some incidentals, it came out to 42,000. So we bought the home from that architect who was settled in the Middle East. We actually never saw him, so he sold it to us. And the first thing I remember is going to a little marble, it was not a quarry, but it was kind of like a marble workshop kind of thing. And my mom selected the name of the house. So it was named Srinivasa Nilayam. And there was a lot of talks on what we should name it. Should we name it Lakshmi Nilayam or what? But Lakshmi Nivas, Lakshmi Nilayam was very common. And my mother loved Lord Venkateshwara. She loved the name Srinivas, actually. She would keep saying, if I have a third child and a boy, I would name him Srinivas. So she really liked that name. So we named it Srinivasa Nilayam, and we got this marble nameplate. We got it etched in Telugu, Srinivasa Nilayam. And I just, just started getting familiarized with with the alphabet, Telugu alphabet. I already knew English alphabet by now. I knew how to read and write in English. So we got it etched, and we got it installed on one end. On one side, there were two sides of the compound, a boundary wall, and one side the nameplate was Srinivasa Nilayam. And on the other side, we got the house number etched. It was already etched, but they changed it like to the match the same marble color that we had in the Srinivasa Nilayam. So I still remember the house number, and I loved it. My dad made me memorize it. And I'm so thankful that he did. He would say, if you ever get lost somewhere, this is the address you give them. So I still remember it. It was 12-2-835 by A by 1. And actually, even now, I can I can search for it in Google Maps, but now it's A by one, and now there's some apartment complex there. I'll come to that. But, anyways, that was the address. And that street in Medipatnam, that particular street was called Sri Ram Nagar Colony, which again my dad found out that that was the name. So we bought our own home, and there was this huge party where we had lights. And I still remember that's where I saw these strawberry shaped lights for the very first time. And again, many years later, I found out that those strawberry shaped lights to light the house, those were very expensive kind of lights to rent out. Most people, very rarely, they would rent out, lights for weddings, etc. And they would have those thin lights that fell through. These were like very fancy lights. The other major thing was my dad worked for a company called AGI, Associated Glass Industries. And he was he was a high up sales manager, regional sales manager for all of their sales. And I remember now, if you say sales manager, you think, oh, it's a regular job. But back then, again, you should remember that India was very impoverished country. So it was a big deal to be any kind of a manager, that to in a private company, which it was a big deal. So he would wear these suits every day. It was a big deal to be a manager. So he would wear these really, really good suits, and that's all he would wear for work. And he had a large sales team who was like under his beck and call. And I can say this was the golden period, from my age 5 all the way till my age 11. It was a golden period for my dad's career and for us also, financially and in terms of privilege and the number of things we had access to. That, like I said, 95% of regular people, I'm not talking again industrialists and all that, did not have access to the kind of life and to the kind of privilege that we had access to. We just didn't know that at that time. The other ritual I remember is my mother was a lecturer in a college of education. And I did not know that working in a college was just one of the many jobs women could have. Somehow I thought all dads go to work in an office and moms go to work in a college. I thought all female population of the world, when they grow up, they work in a college, and all the male population of the world, when they go to work, they work in an office. For some reason, I thought that. And the auntie across the street, she used to work in the government secretariat office. So then I made an exception. I said, oh, okay, either you go to work in a college or some people work in the secretariat. So that's all I thought, everybody goes to work in. So I thought and I thought there was only one college for all of the country, and all women of the country came to work in that college. So that was my world. And also, if you recall, when I was 4, the Montessori school didn't work out for me very well. So they joined me in another school, which my brother had gone to. It was called Sylvania Garden School. And it was in Hyderabad. It was next to that Sarojini Eye Hospital. The interesting thing about this school was the whole building and all the acres of regular land and forest area. It was not a building. It was actually one of those havelis. It was like a big koti, or kind of like a palace. And the people who owned it, they were Chowdhuries. Their last name was Chowdhury. And they were actually blue-blooded. They were royalty, and it had been given to them over several generations. And and they converted it into a school. So it was just a gorgeous school. And mm, some of the not the regular middle class people didn't come there, only the upper middle class uh, and the very wealthy kids came there. It was very exclusive, small class sizes, maybe 16, 20 to a class. And we got a lot of individual attention. There were a lot of Muslims in the class, and Marwadis, and Sindhis, and Punjabis. It was very multicultural. So, very few Telugus were there actually in the class, like native Telugus. So, it was very nice and very structured. And I started getting the first rank from a very young age. So, unfortunately, the whole school only ran. It was an elementary school only. It didn't have upper grades, so it ended at fifth grade. But I studied there till third grade, and right from upper KG to third grade, I would always get the first rank. I made friends with another person there who would sometimes we would share the first rank. Her name was Asra Farhana. So she was my best friend there. So my parents would give me this lunch. In fact, my dad would pack lunch for me. And he would pack every day. It was the same lunch. It was bread, jam, um, um, and either butter or cheese sandwiches. And again, my world was so small and so sheltered and so privileged. And I'm going to repeat it many times that India was very poor back then. A lot of my friends, like for them, bread and jam and butter, it's something that only very wealthy people ate. And cheese, uh, 100% of them didn't even know what cheese was. They had never seen cheese. And this is so far in the back that I'm sure kids of that generation don't remember, but actually they did not know. And for them, butter and jam sandwich was like something very exclusive that they wanted to eat. And for me, I used to get bored of this butter and jam sandwich every day. So I'd happily exchange it with whatever lunch, regular lunch that middle class people ate, like, idli, or it was chapati all the time, or some cabbage curry and rice. I would happily exchange it because it was so boring to eat the butter. And so I actually never ate that lunch that was given to me. I would always exchange it. And people were like in a line. They would every day during lunch. There were so many people who would fight to exchange lunch with me, like 5 or 6 people who would fight to exchange lunch with me. I would not know why they would want to change their like nice, interesting, curd rice with pickle rice with this absolutely boring butter and jam sandwich, but they would. And so that was that. The other interesting thing was my dad bought. Actually, we always in my childhood we always had a car. We had a Herald, and it was light blue in color. I remember it as the most amazing, huge car. But when I look at a Herald now, I realize it wasn't very huge actually. It was a two-door. If you had to go to the back, you had to pull the seat in the front and you had to go. So with my dad, you know, we actually at this time we also bought a new car. So our house was our own. We purchased our house and we bought a new car. And back then, I remember you could pick. My dad picked the color of this car. It was a Fiat, and it was a nice brown beigey biscuit color. It was very very pretty color. So we bought that car. And the other thing I remember is my mom had some friends in the neighborhood. So one of her friends was right behind our house, but there was no shortcut. You had to like go around the block and go to their go to their house. She was a Sindhi lady. Her name was Lakshmi. We used to call her Lakshmi Auntie. And she had two daughters, Sangeeta and Sunita. She had a huge house. So that was another Haveli. Okay. Big, like 1 acre of like land in the front, which was many years later given for development. And I remember there was a towering 2-story entrance to her mansion. It was a mansion. And it was in the shape of like an arch with beautiful white grill, and you had stone steps leading up to it. And inside also the house was so magnificent. And then you had stone steps leading down into their backyard. Their backyard was not just any kind of backyard, it was a fruit grove. So they had papaya trees and all kinds of mango trees and all kinds of fruits there. And they had a gardener whose only job was to tend to the fruit and look after the grounds. He did not come into the house. And his name was Paraya. And he had two daughters, Radhamma and Venkati. So Radhamma worked as a full-time domestic help in Lakshmi Auntie's house. And both these daughters really aspired to become Bollywood heroines someday. And back then, people, now it's so different. You have all this debate of the nepo kids and privilege, but their parents, they came from very, very, very modest means, broken homes, very poor families. So it was not unusual for like a servant maid to dream of wanting to become a Bollywood heroine and actually becoming one also. It was not unusual to have that dream because back then it was called Hindi cinema. The word Bollywood came many years later. So it was not unusual to want to become a movie heroine. So both of them wanted to become a movie heroine. This Radhamma used to think she had little crooked teeth here and here, but she used to think, oh, I look like Maushmi Chatterjee, who was a famous heroine then. And this Venkati used to keep saying, I look like Neetu Singh, because she got her. Neetu Singh is Ranbir Kapoor's mom, who was very popular back then, and she had a trademark flick here, curtain bangs. So my mom thought, why not? This Venkati was in need of work. So my mother hired this Venkati to stay as her live-in help. Okay, so Venkati entered my life. And along with Venkati, what entered my life is the world of Hindi cinema, gossip, what movies came out, who's dating whom. So she would somehow she convinced my dad, I think, or she used to use her own money to buy this Stardust. There's a magazine called Stardust. And she would show me all the pictures of that and show me everybody's stories, their affairs, and who's working in what movie. So I also developed a big interest in this. Because she was a domestic help. She was not interested. She did not know about, science or fiction or whatever. So my grandma used to teach me all that. So anyway, that was the domestic help that we had. And then there was one more friend that my mother had. She was actually mother of my brother's friends. So across in another street in the same neighborhood, again it was a block away, we had a Marwadi family called, it was their last name, I think, was Sanghi, but I could be mistaken. That was a Sanghi family, and they had two sons, Anurag, and I don't know the younger one's name. We used to call him Pappu. So Anurag and Pappu. I don't know why their parents gave a beautiful. The older one didn't have any pet name. They used to call him Anurag. For the longest time, I thought I loved that name because it matched mine so much. I thought if I ever have a baby boy, I'll name him Anurag. But later on, it sounded cheesy, and anyway, I never had a baby boy. So Anurag and Pappu. So their mother was a Marwadi lady. She was a housewife. But she used to make this amazing pickle. My mom used to make really good Andhra pickle. So, but my brother liked that pickle more. So my mom uh, got the recipe from her, and she started making Marwadi pickle and Andhra pickle. Every year, my mom would have this ritual. She would make, and I think she still does. She'd make this jars and jars and jars of pickle, not just for our family. And then she would give it to my grandma's house, her friends, and there was a lot of abundance in every way in our house. That year was very interesting because my parents also took us on my dad actually. He had a friend from AGI who was working in a different regional office. His name was, we used to call him Talwar Saab. He was a little bit high up in the thing. And he was movie stars Rajesh Khanna's own uncle. So we had access to Rajesh Khanna's family also. And we used to invite, my dad used to invite Rajesh Khanna to any like showroom, ribbon cutting and all that. I remember that. It was a big deal to take pictures with him and all that. Couple of showroom inaugurations. It was a glass factory actually. And some exclusive crystal vases and all, were presented to my dad during that time. And they were in our house for a long time. Later on, I don't know what happened. I don't see them anymore. But they were the most beautiful crystal vases. And then my dad used to always win all these awards for his team. He was always number one. Wherever he went at work, he was number one. And he was very, very passionate about his work. I've never seen somebody being so passionate, wanting to give the best, working night and day. So anyway, we went to Delhi and we stayed in this Talwar Saab's house. And it was that was another mansion. And Papu's parents' house, that was also a mansion. And so my world was very sheltered. We only knew all these people with mansions. And I can say we really did not know what middle class life was even like. We did not know that. I did not know that. My parents might have known, they might have struggled in the early years, I don't know. But I certainly did not know that. So, and then, vacations, it was so unheard of, the family going on vacation. So we spent nice 1 week we spent in Delhi and took pictures everywhere. And that was something else my parents had. They had this, like my mom had this really nice, I think it was if I'm not mistaken, the company was Rolei, Rolei, X maybe. I think it was a French company. I somehow remember she had a Rolei camera, not a Canon one. And she had this thing and she used to take amazing pictures. Like she was very talented at taking pictures. So I have those pictures even now. In Delhi, we saw Birla Mandir and Jantar Mantar. Oh, all the things that my parents exposed to that nobody. And then we went to Agra. We saw the Taj Mahal, Fatehpur Sikri, Red Fort. I still remember that trip so vividly. What fun we had, my brother and I. It was really a lot of fun. And then we came back. Once I remember, we had gone to this Lakshmi auntie's house, and I'm running way over, but I'll talk about it anyway. So this Lakshmi auntie she used to have this very tasty items, and there was one mixture there that I really liked. And whenever we went, she would offer us juice or tea, and then we would come. She would bring this Radhamma used to bring all these mixtures with it, and there was one particular mixture that I really liked. So somehow one day she was busy and she only got the juice and there was no mixture. And I kept looking at her in anticipation. I was only 5 years old. I kept looking at her in anticipation like this. And then she said, do you want the mixture? Then I immediately vigorously nodded because I was wanting the mixture. I said, yeah, yeah. And then she said, Radhama, go get the mixture. And she got the mixture. And on the way back, my mother told me, when people ask you if they want something, you have to say no. You have to say no at least 2 or 3 times and only then take it. I know she was teaching me good manners, and maybe she felt a little embarrassed when I so enthusiastically said yes. But somehow this lesson stayed with me forever. And even till today, I'm 50 years old, even till today. Somehow, when I want something, I first say no. I don't know why. I say no, I don't want it. I feel so embarrassed and awkward to say I want this. Forget asking. Like even if they ask me, I say no. But I don't think there's any lesson to come out of it in this fifth year. But I think the lesson is like, as kids we cannot understand, but as grown ups, and this is for my daughters mainly, as grown ups, understand if your privilege. Understand that if you have a car or a house or food to eat or vacations and traveling in, first class and living in a beautiful house in a beautiful suburb and having the means and access to give, supply food to everybody. Apart from this, actually, this all is like privilege. So understand that you have that, and understand that the world doesn't operate like that. The world is full of all kinds of people who don't have the privileges as you, who have to struggle and fight on a day-to-day basis to get what they want. And you have to deal with all kinds of people. So the world of outside is not filled with Lakshmi aunties that if you say no once, twice, thrice, you'll still get that mixture. People may not even ask you what you want, and even if they ask you, if you say no, that's it. Like it'll go away from your plate. So understand that the world is more diverse, and know your privilege if you have that, and know that the world doesn't operate like that. So that's all I have for my fifth year, but crammed a lot in. So tomorrow I'll talk about year 6.